afternoon, Cayman Islands. We are back on the show. We're here with
Kimberly Eggleston
and Ethan Wattler.
And
Minister Borden.
Yes, we are here with Minister Osborne Borden. Welcome to the Flex, guys. Okay, so we're here with the CIYA members. And
Kimberly?
No. Can you tell me your positions, please?
I'm the PR officer.
Yeah.
And I was the sitting president for this term of the CIYA.
And so, Kimberly, as a PR officer, what were your roles?
Well, my role was to get all the issues in order, make sure that everybody knew what the issues were and which ones were top priority and which ones weren't and which ones really affected the youth, and to get everybody together to just, select 2 topics that we should do.
Definitely. Well, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
And Ethan, as a president, you're basically just letting everybody know what they're supposed to be doing. How did it go?
Yeah, it was a challenge, I guess, because you have so many different views and opinions in one small area. It's hard to get everyone to express them rationally and civilly, because everyone wants to be heard. But once you get around that, it's a lot easier to handle.
So, guys, I know when you're doing thinking of all the problems to discuss, how many did you start out with?
We had 20, I guess.
Oh, wow. And you had to narrow it down to 2?
Yeah.
And so what are the 2 topics or problems that you narrowed it down to?
Loss of morals and values among the youth, and introducing same-sex marriage to the Cayman Islands.
And which one were you
I sat on the loss of morals and values among the youth, and Ethan sat on the same-sex marriage.
Okay, so guys, you may proceed with your presentation to Minister Osborne Borden. Go ahead.
So on behalf of myself, as well as the entirety of the CIYA board, I'd like to present you with a copy of our position papers for the 2015-2016 term.
Thank you, Ethan. And let me say, first of all, a pleasant good afternoon to our listeners. Good to be here with you, Flex, and CIYA. Once again, the Cayman Islands Youth Assembly is here to present papers to myself as Minister of Youth. It's my pleasure, certainly, to accept these on behalf of the government. And I must say the 2 topics you chose are certainly very topical, and they could not have been easier to deal with. So I look forward to the interesting read, and I also look forward to presenting this on your behalf when the House reconvenes on the floor of the House. So look forward to my colleagues having a read as well. So to commend you all for the hard work and the continued great efforts that you all put into all of your papers. Since I've been here, there's been quite a few, and all on very important issues, from public transportation to crime to these that we have before us today. So once again, thank you, and very proud of you, Ethan. Seeing you grow up in CIYA,
Thank you.
As I noticed when I came in, you've gotten a bit taller. Every year you're a little taller in the chair, and good job. So look forward to reading.
So, guys, I want to go into the topics that you brought up. For the loss of moral values, right? In what areas do you think the youth has lost moral values?
As in respect for your adults, and we based it around social media because everybody has social media today, and a lot of negative influences have reached youth, and we can see it in society today, on how children treat their parents or how they talk to authority members.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed, especially with social media, once a trend starts, no one literally sits down and thinks about it and says, is this right or is this wrong? Everyone just wants to hop on the trend, whether they think it's right or wrong. No one's actually taking time to think out anything anymore. They just let social media control them and basically run their life. And so, Ethan, were you on the same-sex marriage? So, tell me a little bit about it. Like, what were some things mentioned in the position?
Well, we decided to discuss an issue like this because it's being discussed on such a modern and global scale, and it's something that should be implemented here, I believe, because there's so many economic, social, political political benefits that can be reaped from implementing a system like this. And we touched on some of those within the papers, and I hope that if it's discussed in government, those benefits can be seen and our point of views can be understood.
Definitely. So, Ethan, based on what Mr. Osborne Bodden had to say, what are your remarks towards it? As in how how he will find the papers, what do you expect to come out of it?
I think you'll find the papers quite interesting, in all honesty. I don't know if I have any general idea of what I expect to come from this, because there's no issues. There are things, when something's introduced in government, it'll take a while to be handled.
Yeah.
So I can't expect an immediate reaction, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
If there's anything that comes from these, I'm expecting within maybe like 5 years, I don't know, like over a span of time, you know, because you can't expect overnight
things to happen
changes.
like right away. It takes
in
time.
government.
Yeah.
So, Ethan, you've been in CIYA for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And being in the CIYA for the past 3 years, you've done 3 papers, I assume.
Yeah.
Let me see. Have you seen any changes brought about by these papers that you've contributed to?
From time to time I have, yeah.
Okay. Can you give us like an example of any changes you've seen?
Sure. I think it was the last paper I sat on. We discussed the issue of public transport and how that affects the youth and how they are going about with their daily lives. And from a few close friends and family members, I've heard that there have been changes made to the public bus system, as well as its like schedules and stuff, which I think is a great effort to solve the issues that we brought up in our paper.
Yeah.
So you feel that the papers were effective and the CIYA itself presenting the papers to Minister Osborne. That's great.
Yeah, you can see that the papers do make a difference. And I think it's great that you guys are sitting on a board or in this program that basically is giving youth a voice, because it's like, yeah, we all have our own opinions, but it's great that you guys are able to write down these opinions and present it to someone who can make a difference for us. So thank you for that, Mr. Bodden.
Yeah, it's very important. I think the Youth Parliament as well as the Youth Assembly are two great, and Youth Flex are three, that I can think of right off the top, where youth have a lot of say in Cayman. Even if you don't get direct results or actions as they are presented, as Ethan says, it spurs debate. It gives us older heads a view into where you're coming from, how you feel, and it's very important and that's the reason why these bodies were set up, to have us have that access to the way young people feel. A lot of us are parents, and we like to think that we know a lot, but at the same time, hearing it directly from the youth themselves, allowing them a forum in which they can debate with their peers and put that down on paper, lends that much more credibility to it. So we're very happy to continue to support these programs.
Thank you, Mr. Bodden. So, what are your thoughts on the loss of moral values?
Well, I was born in 1961, and I can tell you that it is significant. I was sitting here thinking of all the things that may have contributed to that, and you're right, social media is one, but social media is fairly new. But there's the advent of television, I think, was the greatest single impact that we've had in Cayman, and also when we started to have the lack of, to me, a deterioration in parenting skills. And I think that came primarily because we found that people were having kids younger and younger.
Yeah.
So we had kids having kids, and we still have that going on. We also have the fact that people are working harder and finding it more difficult sometimes to make ends meet. Therefore, they sacrifice the home and they leave their kid to someone else. All those issues, I'm sure, are things that you probably read in these papers. But these are the things that have led to that basic respect, that basic pride that Caymanians always were known for, and it's something that we can't give up the fight on. We have to recognize it and to drill home as much as we can and to try and build a lot of that back, because when society breaks down to the point of no return, then you have serious issues on your hands.
Definitely.
And just simple things like watching what your kids watch on TV. Social media is a nightmare to control, but TV, simple things like the cartoons that are made these days. I was thinking back to what I grew up on, and I didn't grow up on any, but when TV did come along and the cartoons that, Bugs Bunny and the rest of that stuff was all good, Flintstones. But what you're looking at now is stuff that is violent. You're hearing the little kids mouth off their parents. You're hearing them curse, and that stuff you may laugh at it in the living room, but the kids take that to heart, and next thing you know, your kid is doing it. They're cursing at a young age. Everybody's laughing at them. Then suddenly they reach adolescence, and it's no longer a joke, and they start cursing other people. And we have to really, as parents, society has to really take a grip of itself and realize that there's a serious deterioration going on.
Definitely, and the level of respect for adults I can see has deteriorated.
Yep.
And also, do you think with this lack of moral values, it's leading to a higher crime rate?
I think definitely. In so many ways. I mean, just the common respect for one another. You, these days, you hear about somebody in a nightclub spilling another one's drink, and next thing a gun is out and he's shot dead, or steps on his foot and he doesn't like that, or speaks to his girlfriend and doesn't like that. I mean, I grew up in a Cayman where if we had a fight, it was a fist fight, and later on we were friends. Not today. Everything is solved with a machete or a gun, and that's the kind of thing that's coming from it. There's an anger that's being built up with that lack of respect at a very young age, and it's like everybody's a bad man, and if you touch me, I'll take you out type of thing. And we really have to get away from that. We have to bring a lot more unity back in our young people, and to show them that being a bad boy is not the way to go.
You need your education. That's what
education is the key.
Focusing on,
Absolutely.
And you can get that from a program like CIYA.
Absolutely.
So, guys, thank you so much for coming. Do you have any final comments or shout-outs?
Well, I just wanted to say thanks for allowing us to do this so often to promote the CIYA in itself, and give us the opportunity to discuss our papers and broadcast our opinions to the island,
And we thank you for being a voice for the youths. Mr. Osborne Bond, do you have any final comments or shout-outs?
Well, I just want to say a big thank you again, first of all, to Youth Flex for having us. Big thank you to Youth Assembly for the hard work and the paper presentation. I certainly look forward, as I said, to an interesting read, and look forward to continue supporting of you guys and coming to your events. And please don't forget to invite me whenever there's anything going on. I try my best to be there. So my job is to be here to support you guys and do all I can from the government. And thank you, and hope everyone has a pleasant evening. I have another meeting to run to. Otherwise, I'd stay and hang out with you guys.
You're a busy man.
Very
hard
busy.
at work. And now we'll take our second music break.
Our next music break is Just Like Fire by Pink.